Yeah. What if we all not crazy? Seen a dead body on 8th Street. A lot of zombies out lately, it don't faze me. It's real life, not a daydream. Give praise be, balance can face swing all in the same week. Process it all, go deep. Fake news just can't leak. Clowns talk a whole lot, but don't say peep. Prices going up and shit ain't cheap. My homie stuck, laid on rent. It's been 8 weeks. Phone ringing, they can't sleep. Life lessons you can't teach. I live it all up close in HD. Seen the other side, the 10 ain't green. I'm mega, guard the health packs like 10 HP. I cut against the grain and wear it out like penne sleeves. I drip with the stuff, got plenty G's. Cool as a fan, 10 ACs. Let off, the pen ain't clean. Y'all just woke in my NABs. Yeah. Not crazy, this shit going down.
Yeah.
We
what up,
not tripping.
What's going on? Welcome. It's season 3, How Billy Sees It. It is January 27th. It is a Monday. And so I'm here. You have me. You're welcome. And that was my most recent track, We Not Tripping. That came together pretty quick. I did a little animated video for that. Check that out on this very YouTube page and on my Instagram. We Not Tripping, a new track. As I said, I'm going to keep moving with music this year. Keep doing it. And yeah, got some new stuff coming in the pipe as well. So yeah, thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for being applause to you for being here and for watching this episode. And it's only the last week in January. We're just a couple of weeks into this new administration, and you know, there's so many things we could talk about. There's a lot of the political world is a buzz, obviously, with the new president, with this new billionaire influencer president administration, and one of the top people in this cabinet, so close, high profile people among several, is your guy Elon Musk, who has really just been showing his ass, hasn't he, recently? So last week at the inauguration on the biggest political stage ever, he jumps around and gives the Nazi salute twice. And it's really interesting to see how people operate, yo. Twice he gave it. And it's very clear, it's very obvious, it's very aggressive. But as he said it on the second time after he said it, he says, my heart goes out to you. And that's what people have glommed onto. That's it. That was his intentions right there. It's very clear. And as I said in an episode, I think my last episode, I talked about this, where I said, look, I don't know exactly what's in his heart and what the word Nazi means to everyone. We know that the Nazis don't just hate Jews. The Nazis hate black people and brown people. The Nazis have a sense of supremacy that excludes much of the world, and they're violent people, and we know better. And I was raised to dislike people who affiliate with Nazis, who see those ideologies to be credible and worth engaging with. You know what I mean? We could talk about that. We could talk about after that, this guy, I think in the last week, he did not a Zoom call. He did a call on one of the political rallies over for the AfD party in Germany, which is the far-right party. The far-right party that is flirting with Nazi ideas, flirting with all kinds of things related to the demographics of Germany and things related to the culture of Germany. And here's Elon Musk, guys. Here he is. Let's give him the small screen for this shit here.
Well, first of all, I wanted to really say that I'm very excited for the AfD, and I think you're really the best hope for Germany. I think some things that something I think that is just very important is that people take pride in Germany and being German. This is very important. It's it's okay to be proud to be German. This is a very important principle, and it's okay, it's good to be proud of German culture, German values, and not to lose that in some sort of multiculturalism that dilutes everything.
Multiculturalism that dilutes everything. Let's go back to full screen. Look, when I was learning about World War II and I learned about the rise of Hitler post World War I Germany, I learned about a Germany that had been demoralized, about a people that were demoralized, and the power of those words, like almost those exact words is what I read in terms of Hitler's remarks and his energy and what energized Germany to reestablish itself on the world stage and led eventually to that fascist leader and the actions that he took and that went through World War II until that party and himself Hitler himself was roundly well understood to be vile. And we understood that we needed to be mindful of these kinds of ideologies. I think it's wild that it's back, yo. I think it's wild that it's so open and people are so weird and goofy. It's not just out in the open in this way, and there's a sweep going all around the world. And as you can see, people like Elon Musk are promoting others across in different parts of the world, promoting the same kind of nationalist sentiment, the same kind of concern for demographics and for immigration patterns. It's back. And it's funny to watch how the chattering class, the professional journalists, don't seem to have the language to call things exactly what they are. They don't because they're all in a framework that at the end of the day needs to regard Elon Musk as a genius. It needs to regard him as like an important and smart person. At this point, he's so deeply embedded in so much of America's cultural stuff. He's done so much. They've hyped him up for years and years and years. I remember going back 10, 15 years, he was referred to as like the actual human, real Iron Man. And, ever since then, different companies he's been a part of, he's considered to be this very important person. And they don't know how to process that this very important person can also have these racist elements to his psyche and to his ego and to his framework. And as they present themselves in the moment, they don't know how to articulate that. They don't, I'm telling you that there are too many incentives to maintain the status of respectable, brilliant businessman. There's too many incentives that seek to hold that together and don't want to challenge that and don't want to have to start framing this person in an entirely different way. Because look, how would you talk about someone who intentionally did that salute and then went to Germany and was talking about cultural purity and avoiding muddled multiculturalism, and who has a record that he does on Twitter for the same kind of thing? He's been going hard in London as well, going hard in England or the United Kingdom in order to help those right-wing parties as well who have a similar message of xenophobia. How would you talk about that person if it wasn't a normal person? If it wasn't Elon Musk, how would you do it? Right? They can't do it. They refuse to do it. They don't want to injure that relationship. They don't want to have a combative relationship with him. And that's exactly what you see with, for instance, even these other organizations that are supposed to care about Nazism, like the ADL, supposed to care about supremacy. You see that the ADL enforces and supports a certain kind of supremacy. They certainly support a kind of supremacy that you see in the Israeli government. They support that. They think that this supremacy is good, and they're supportive of this vague thing that's going on with Elon Musk. No one mums a word about that, right? They're just focused on basketball players and like actors, especially the black ones, make sure the black people stay in line. Let's make sure we get the black celebrities, who even some of them are multimillionaires and things like this, but they're not cultural mainstays. They're not They're not in the White House next to the new incoming president Trump. So instead of this kind of massaging and the kind of things like Netanyahu directly tweeted, as well as the ADL, as well as a bunch of other scummy people. No, guys, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. This is Elon's a good guy. He's in support of what we're doing out here. And he's too powerful to critique this way. We want to be friends with this kind of power, you know? Tell me when a basketball player, a black basketball player, is watching a movie on Amazon or tweeting something weird, or you know, is in support of Palestinian liberation. Tell me when a student is wearing a keffiyeh on campus. Make sure you write that in, right? Make sure we write that person down. We got to watch them. We got to threaten them. We got to make sure they understand that that's against a moral code. But this other stuff, they're totally fine with, and they'll support. And this is the kind of, all it is at the end of the day, and I've been talking about this for a while, the world that we live in, the world that we're living in, is a construction. It's a construction of narratives that have carried the day and carried the order. And we're watching now in real time with Elon Musk, whoever he is. I don't think he's a Nazi in a traditional sense at all. But that symbol is a symbol that means something terrible generally, and everyone knows this. And we see this inability to actually see and talk about what's going on because it would be too messy. It would be too difficult and confusing to have to start to unpack and challenge Elon Musk in a serious way. And then for some people, it'd also be Elon Musk's affiliation, because we have a person in the White House now who's they're looking for like an office space for him in the White House. That's what I see on the news. Instead of talking about the signal, instead of talking about his, his political history in this way, they're talking about how he's getting an office in the executive building over here in DC and this and that. So how do you deal with that? When do you begin the campaign to get him out of political power, that he shouldn't be anywhere near the White House, right? So the way they deal with it is to completely ignore it. Completely ignore it. It didn't happen. Oh, let's just assume that he was trying to put his hand out. Again, even if he, like, with all the different ways you could, what is it? My heart goes out to you. Like, even if I'm throwing my heart out to you, let's say I start off on my chest, right? When I throw something, I throw with the fingers open. Fingers open. Fingers open. That's how you shoot a basketball. That's how you throw a football, right? When let's say you had a bunch of Skittles in your hand, or a bunch of M&Ms, right? Ooh, I'm throwing it out. Fingers open. See that? Here you go. I gotta make sure motherfuckers see my fingers in there. There's no way you can interpret that motion and the energy, the aggression. But again, I'm just telling you what it is. People sometimes are confused, like, what's happening? These white people are crazy. What's going on? It is too confusing. It is too complex to have to unwind Elon Musk and his influence and his clout and the millions of people who look up to him and think that it's a brilliant thing. To be the richest man in the world is the highest achievement. And they don't want to have to challenge that. And so kick it right out of the head. And this is what our ancestors had to deal with. We had to deal with a similar kind of other people who were in governorships and heads of media and powerful people who got their voices out there, who might have been intelligent, creative in some sense, and in another sense, completely ridiculous and immoral and backwards, but that the community, the society decided to let them be. Instead, they would focus their attention on some other group, a powerless group, a more powerless group of people, And that's what they're doing right now. That's what the ICE raids are about. That's what the attacks and the DEI stuff is about. This whole DEI is actually just DEI jobs, black people jobs. Applause for that. Get rid of these DEI jobs. These black people out here getting DEI jobs, which is just nonsense. We realize that DEI actually benefits women, white women. It benefits queer people. It benefits Asian people, people of other ethnicities and minority groups, and it benefits black people. And the truth that is that the entire purpose of DEI and the entire purpose of other government interventions into our market in this country are rooted in a response to the initial racism. It is to say that this whole idea of the merit, the market, and the merit, everyone gets jobs, the best people get the jobs, is trash. We know it's trash. We know it's not true. We know it's not true. Everything from Pete Hegseth, who's completely unqualified to chair the DOD, to the people who run our media organizations and several people who we see on camera who speak words at us without grasping fully what it means to be in that position and the value proposition and what the Constitution was requiring of them and the need, especially in this moment. It's not the best and the best. It's not. Come on. But it's this moment is early on in Trump's campaign or presidency. The goal is for second round. He wants to show how tough and how serious he is. And he's just an action president. He's going to be demonstrating like that first day where he was at the White House Oval Office and he had the desk with all the things and he's just signing off executive actions. Executive actions used to be a sparse thing that presidents did, because we understood and we upheld that value of the three parts of government, and presidents are supposed to get laws passed through a process. And now, because of the hype and the media stuff and because of the marketing benefit, now presidents like Donald Trump he goes into the White House and he starts signing things off, and it's a proud thing. It's like, look at me. I do things as fast as possible. By decree, I just come up with stuff. And it just happens because that's what I can do. Yeah. The Tuskegee Airmen is something I'm seeing. Like the Air Force will no longer be teaching about the history of the Tuskegee Airmen to the new recruits. Why? Why would that be the case? I saw a petition to try to work on that or get that repealed or to put the Tuskegee Airmen back as part of our history. What is the benefit of that kind of control of the historical narrative? What are you trying to do? You want everyone to live in a fantasy world? You don't want to learn from the lessons? I mean, that's the problem. We're not learning from the lessons. That's why we have Elon Musk doing what he's doing in this country and across in other countries, and Netanyahu doing what he's doing. We don't learn from the past because people are so dumb and so interested in their short-term, performances that they're willing to sacrifice the future. They're willing to sacrifice, building our world on solid foundations of our common humanity and on the knowledge learned from past mistakes and errors. No, we're just gonna write stuff out. I saw a thing in relation to the gender discourse over the last several years. Trump wants to put an end to it, and so he writes, or someone in his administration writes and clarifies that people are what is it? The gender categories correlate to what was the language on this thing, yo? Let me find the joint so I can say it right, because this stuff is kind of uniquely technical in a sense. He says, dun, dun. People are. Am I gonna find this? Boom, 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 boom. I'm gonna find it, but essentially what happens is he tried to define gender, which is a social construct. He tried to define gender and classify it and correlate it directly to biology, which is an entirely different thing. And in so doing, they stuck on the idea of conception, and so that the gender categories relate to your biology at conception, failing to understand that all humans, we start off with a female, if we're looking at chromosomes, if we're doing that chromosomal thing, if that's the game you want to play, we definitely all of us start off with an XX condition, and that the male characteristics and traits exhibit themselves later on in the development process, probably like 6 weeks in. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Right. Okay. Yeah, so sex is fixed at conception, which, as I just described, that's not how it works. The expression of the gene on the Y chromosome is induced 6 to 7 weeks into gestation. So they're not serious, is the point I want to make. They're just not serious on a number of topics. They want to exert control. They want to demonstrate that they're active. They want to be active. But, we just have to watch this farcical shit. And every time they post something, Trump posts something somewhere on Twitter or something, hordes of people are excited because they've attached their identity to this man and to fixers, and they've attached the idea that the world is some battle between good and evil, and there's heroes, and they want Trump to be a hero, and they have a sense about what the world should be. I actually went a bit longer than I wanted to on some of that, but I guess I can end off with just like talking about a different framework altogether. Like, if you do this framework of Republicans and Trump versus Democrats, then you can do that forever. There will never be an end to that. There will always, these two, they're contrasting. They move back and forth. The Democrats are no longer a party of peace and anti-war. They were that, but they're no longer that. Why? Because the money and the power arrangements for them is no longer feasible for them to do that. And so they've moved around. And so I'm trying to point to the fact that like being like this party loyalist is a senseless position. The only way that makes sense is if that you're like employed in that kind of realm, and it's your job to just say the thing. But they're not grounded in anything. And then the same is true with the Republicans. They're now, look at even like motherfuckers like Reagan or whatever. Like, there's a massive difference between that Republican and the current Republican Party, which is a bunch of, the Trump loyalists are just absolutely insane. It's just a fandom. It's kind of a cultish fandom, especially as everyone adds Elon Musk. Everyone loves this guy. These are the brightest and the smart and the richest. And of course, richest correlates closely to the brightest in people's minds, because that's all been cultivated. That's all been built over a long stretch of media manipulation and manipulation of words, like character building and narratives. The other framework that we can deal in is one that I've talked about. It is like an orientation to love, love, acceptance. Like, when you do acceptance and you deal in a humanist condition, the entire framework has to change. You're not looking at Republicans and Democrats. You're not looking at any of the things that they want to do. The inside groups and the outside groups, the immigrants and the citizen, the straight people and the gay people, the white people and the black people. You're not trying to alter history in order to favor anything. You're trying to understand what is because you want to love what is. You can't love what is if you are lying and denying what is. Sheba says, where's Luigi when we need him? She says, white people are racist bigots. Yeah, some people are definitely white racist bigots, baby. A large number of them, larger than we know, I believe, sadly. DEI mostly benefits white women. Good, hopefully black people stop joining the military. Two sides of the same coin. Yes. Fanning for these parties is a bad move, yo. You have to pull out in order to like pull yourself away from that like political thing. Like if you believe it's time to, oh man, I'm seeing so many stuff. Some people now, it's like all the stuff that, you know, Biden was engaged in. It's like, well, Trump, they're angry at Trump because Trump is the Republican. He's the bad guy. Other people, I'm seeing like a liberal energy of just, well, this is what y'all voted for. I'm out. Y'all voted for this. I'm out of here. I just think that's, you were tricked about what politics is and about what any of these moments are. And like, you know, the political campaign, it didn't matter who won. It matters obviously in some senses. Yes, I don't believe that the Kamala Harris administration would be attacking DEI in this way. It'd be a very different political reality. There'd be different things going on. But the truth is that some of y'all wouldn't be active in a Kamala Harris administration. Some of y'all would be sitting back, believing that some job has been done and feeling happy. While this administration, if it's, you know, continues as she said she would, continues funding and supporting Netanyahu and whatever political maneuvers they feel is necessary. Just like, well, it's Kamala Harris, a black woman, I'm happy to be, and you kind of attribute or kind of like project Martin Luther King energy on her. Martin Luther King walks so that Kamala could fly and this and that. Like, none of that that's all like your projection. And it's also, obviously, it's been helped by marketing. There's a marketing team that wants to connect Kamala Harris to Dr. King. And to the civil rights movement at large. But you know, what is? It's almost it's not almost. It is the same question with Elon Musk. It doesn't matter. It, like, whatever these affiliations and and these assumptions we want to make about these people as we watch, like, no rosy glasses on any of these political, powerful individuals. A clear-headed look at what they are and accepting that is love. Yeah, I wanna pivot to something else, because I just want to point out the way we associate and we glom onto identities and we get excited and we want to throw our energy towards an identity and how these identities can kind of like harm us from seeing, and from acceptance and from love. And the angle I want to take is like, I'm seeing a lot of stuff about neurodivergence. Neurodivergence. Let me share my screen real quick. Boing. So what is neurodivergence? Neurodivergence generally is a word that generally wants to point to the idea of a divergent kind of brain. That there is a normal brain and a way of thinking and a way of seeing things and a way of forming neural pathways assumptions, logic assumptions, that there's something called normal, and then there's something that diverges from that, and that there are people who operate comfortably in the normal, and that there are people who operate more comfortably separate from that. Okay? So, I mean, and when you Google it, we get in here and we Google it, we get all this stuff. There's a lot of, well, that got smaller. I don't know what this blog is. See all these words? So neurodivergence comes with all these other different words. And this is relevant to what I've been trying to do on this podcast, and I'm going to try to explain why. I think it's super valuable to have language for something. I think it's super valuable to, you know, without the word neurodivergence, right? The word neurodivergence allows us to name something and define something, and then we can normalize and assume it and bring it in and accept it. Rather than, I think in the past, people who might be called neurodivergent today, absent that word, we call them weird, we call them something else, some other word, maybe autistic, and maybe which could drip with like a condescension, with an insult, a bit of a slur. It's neurodivergence comes with a kind of complexity that allows us to accept rather than to shun or to expel or to externalize and to say that that's an outside thing or that's something wrong. Because we operate so often in this like binary contrast of good and bad and right and wrong, the things we call neurotypical would be classified as right, and expressions of neurodivergence or neuroatypical behavior would be classified as wrong. So neurodivergence gives us a brilliant opportunity to accept, right? And then I'm just saying that what happens next is, and I'm seeing it happen, because I think I identify as neurodivergent. I think a good number of people would too, as you start to get into the depth of it and see like what we're pointing to exactly, what kinds of behaviors and thought processes and logic senses and expressions would be classified as a lot of us would say, oh, I see some of that in me. But I saw a kind of a meme today that was kind of it was trying to make a point about how like neurotypicals won't get this, and so it's forming this sense of you know, the neurodivergence, we have a special thing, we have a special intelligence, a special approach to life that the normies won't get, and sort of laughing and mocking at them. And I think I'm trying to like point to the need to dance on this, right? The historical problem of neurotypical normalization and then the exclusion of neurodivergent people was a problem, and it is a problem. And the fact that people now have the capacity to speak to each other and give language to their neurodivergence and to accept and to like, you know, through narrative structures and words and, you know, to accept their thing, it gives us the opportunity to now, you know, own the identity instead of feeling weird about being weird, instead of feeling weird about being, what's the word, right? Instead of feeling weird about being not normal, we now have language. We can own something. We can stand on this ground called neurodivergence. And it's important not to throw rocks at the neuronormies. It's important not to elevate your thing as somehow the right thing. It's important not to do the same mental constructions, the same harmful external in-group separations that the normies have burdened us with for centuries, for generations. Why is that important? Because we're all neurotypical in some sense. And I think many of us, most of us, if not all of us, are neurodivergent in some sense. For some people, it's just prevalent in all their lives, right? It's like they buck trends, they buck, you know, typical thought processes and value systems over and over and over, from the way they dress to the way they speak to, you know, how they approach the game of life, what they find humorous, what they find entertaining, you know what I mean? Some people, it's a thing or two, you know, like, and we are all in that gelatinous thing. And sometimes I definitely identify with neurodivergence. Definitely. And sometimes, without a doubt, I have some typical behavior patterns and assumptions and thoughts. I am not so far off, like, you know, all these things are frameworks. When I say so far off, so far from what? From this, I'm doing like a spatial sense of like what is neurotypical, and so I'm not far distance wise, but I am what I am. I have my complex construction of my genetic and chemical structure and my physical body, my memories and my sense of myself, and what I consider enjoyment and what I consider boring and what I consider harmful, and what I consider beautiful, what I consider noisy. X, Y, I can go on and on and on, and it is mine. And without a doubt, it's neurodivergent. In other cases, it's very typical. I also saw in a similar sense, this whole idea of like the powerless group claiming, being able to give language to themselves and then claim the center. I think it's a powerful thing. In a similar way, in gender and sexuality, you know, I've been around queer folk, and queer dudes will sometimes make the joke about, you know, people who are straight, that there's something that we are really just we're really just like kind of following. We're people who follow. We're people who follow trends. You know what I'm saying? Like and so that they are truly, they've developed their sense of selves fully, and it includes everything that they are, and it's the center, and it's the best thing. And the people who have a more narrow sense or find comfort in a different thing, or are interested in the typical heteronormative relationships that they're normies and they can be laughed at. And I think it's the same kind of thing. Man, I'm going off the cuff here. I'm trying to like articulate something, and I hope I know later on it'll probably make sense. So we'll just keep rolling with it. It's like in all these cases, there's a tendency always for the other. There's a tendency always for definition, a self-definition that externalizes something, and frequently, almost always, we are going to take our position and position ourselves as the good, as the normal, as the ideal. Maybe not normal, right? Some people know their shit is, but at least ideal. Some people take pride in sort of being in a minority group, let's say. Yeah, we're different, you know, but we're ideal. We're good. And you have to like, there's a thin line between like loving oneself and elevating oneself, whatever you are, and then you cross over into this line where you judge someone who's the opposite. Another similar one, I talked about this woman who is a sort of a body positivity and fat activist, and she was saying that anybody who ever, she posted on Facebook, anybody who ever posts or tweets about weight loss, you are fat phobic, and you're a victim of, you're a follower, right? You're a victim of the fitness and wellness, health, skinny complex, and they've taught you to hate a certain physique and taught you to hate your body. So no one should be trying to lose weight ever. If you're trying to lose weight, to me it's the same thing. You like think, Billy, one of those has to do with fatness. One of those things has to do with sexuality. We've talked about race. We've talked about a few things. They're all related. They're all related. They're all related in the sense that, again, this fat advocate, body positive advocate, she's responding to something. She's responding to the historical sense that fatness is a moral failing. She's responding to the beauty industry that makes fat and overweight or heavy people feel bad and make them feel that they're not beautiful, that beauty can't be found in those spaces. And that's not true. That's a falsehood. And so she's responding to that. And the response starts with what I think is the beautiful thing, which is the self-love, which is the appreciation for the self, which is the recognition that the narratives and the definitions of the dominant condition aren't all that there is, and that you can create that. You can give yourself language. You can give language to what you are, and you can rest comfortably and proudly in who you are. You can love yourself in this moment. And that a fat person or a heavy person who wants to lose weight can also do that, and that there's nothing wrong with the desire to be of a different body type, to have more muscle tone or to be slimmer. There's nothing wrong to take steps towards that if that suits you, and that we have to accept all those people. Some people will need to learn to love themselves in their fatness, and other people will grow. Their journey will include walking into something new, doing something, challenging themselves that could change their bodies, and it would be okay too. Like we all need to like be able to not the judgment part is the key thing. It's the narrative part. Once you identify this thing, they will react, they will be reacting, and these motherfuckers are reacting. And so the problem with Elon and these Trump and the entire conservative American landscape at this point is that there's no grounding in what I'm talking about. There's no grounding in love. There is only a grounding in money. If someone makes money, they are smart. If someone makes money, they are moral, they are good, they are someone we should try to know and latch ourselves to, and we should support and defend. Everything is money and separation. We're easily captured by these separations. We're easily captured by an opportunity to define the good and the bad and to try to separate. And to not accept. And that's at the root of the ICE raids, particularly these ICE raids that are focused on the Latin, South American community. That's at the root of the DEI attacks, right? If they're serious about merit, they need to look in quite a few more places than just looking at quote unquote the spaces that engage in DEI, right? If the goal is merit, but that's not the goal. The goal is separation. So love is acceptance of what is, acceptance of the human condition, acceptance of history, you know, and when you see people engaging in like employing words to help us understand our condition, I don't know. It's a difficult thing. You've got to look. I think one of the elements of our words that we don't look at enough is intention. Like we have a word and then we think that the definition, all there is like some letters and then there's a definition and then that's it. But somehow I think there's something about intention. I don't really have the language to describe it further than that right now. I just think that I'm going to try to do some thinking about intention. And when the intention is love and the intention is a deeper understanding, I think good things happen. But when the intention is political play and, you know, political posturing, and division for political gain and for profit, I think we're just so many decades deep into that. So again, like it's the end of February. We just had Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. February is Black History Month. It's going to be an interesting little shit show to watch. President Trump and this cabinet and these guys, how they engage with Black History Month as they want to, you know, pander to their base, and their base is like exceedingly disinterested in these kinds of like, in the full story of what America is, America was, American capitalism, and how it shows itself and how it presents itself. Yeah. Martin Luther King talked about radical love. And I think he meant it. And I think we like to water him down like he was some punk or something, when he absolutely was not, which is exactly why the state did what they did to him. The idea of radical love is a powerful one, especially when it's manifested in action. And yeah. That's what I got, yo. That's my episode. And I want to do real quick, I want to do the best thing on the internet for you guys. Let me see. Did I pick this yet? Let's do it. Best thing on the internet. The best shit on the internet. The absolute best shit on the internet right now.
Y'all ever see those videos in New York City in like 1912 and everyone's bustling, hurrying around on the street? And I think, God damn, they were stressed back then too, man. And now look, they're all gone. And I know that's depressing to think about, but it reminds me of a quote from, I think Anne Lorette said it. I heard Pete Holmes say it. Every 100 years, there's all new people, baby. Every 100 years, all new people. The people we're on Earth with right now, this is our crew, okay? In the same way you can't pick your family, but you got to get along with them. We can't pick the people we're on Earth with, but we got to get along, man. In the whole grand scheme of the universe, all the time, all the space, the people on Earth right now, this is a tiny little group, man, and we get to be a part of it, man. I'm in the grocery store, I see a fella, I think, God damn, I'm on Earth at the same time as that guy, man. I see a cool lady, I think, man, we're alive at the same time. Man, that is freaking sick, man. Be kind to your neighbor, man. This is what it's all about. I'm glad I'm on Earth at the same time as y'all. Thank y'all. Keep on rocking. Y'all ever see those videos in New York?
Shit on the internet. The absolute best shit on the internet right now. That's my dude, Uncle Pappy. Uncle Pappy, I really fuck with him. He's fantastic. Follow him on Instagram and Threads. Really positive stuff and truthful stuff. That's a truth. While we're taught to see each other and focusing on our differences and our MAGA versus the blue MAGA and the rest of it, like there's a deeper truth. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad for Uncle Pappy for that. Thanks for that. Remember, listen, yo, you are seeing what you're looking for. You see what you're looking for. You see what you're looking for. And it's all one thing. All right, I'm gonna leave you out with the rest of my track, We Not Tripping, and look out for some new music later. Hold on, let me start this off.
process. I'm
Peace.
not the type to be toe tipping, legendary like 94 Pippin. These kids lost like Maury clinics, I'm coach different. Who run the flow Senate? Who flow go infinite? Lyrical penicillin, I crush and depose cynics. Balanced, I'm soul centered. Vibe with my co-conspirit, thriving, I won't settle. Riding, we go levels. Run with a crew with some living legends. I know several. Double my weight, these bags fitted with rose gold petals. I'm gripping life, no hard rock or a gem type. I've been nice, move purpose driven, praying for insight. The uppercut Kim Slice hit before you could think twice. I write these lyrics, then put the pen to your windpipe. Catching a red eye, move confident like a Jedi. You pretend like you was cool with the magical when I flip the words in a spin eye. Place love and truth at the center. The ego thin, it's a cold winter. What if the click was loaded up? Heal all the soldiers we hold in trust. Let's go discuss how they got us thinking it won't be us. They affirming murder, curses and such. My cup bursts, flowing like every verse is enough. How we live in the earth home and we truly blessed. I'm about that action like movie sets. Choose the steps, but my task already duly set. How you gonna react to connect? Depend on whatever the shoes you accept. For real.